From inside the barrel of Harry Callahan's .44 Magnum, it's the IGN Digigods. Please welcome two men who will go ahead and make your day, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
I'm such a sucker for a good Dirty Harry reference. Corey, who sent that one in for us?
That was brought to you by Lucky Punk William T. Garver.
Awesome.
Now, Wade, I'm going to say you did this because I like blaming you for things.
It's not my fault.
There was a Star Wars reference.
I know. Eric Altieri sent us a Star Wars
Wade,
reference.
Can't take you anywhere.
And I totally bonked it. I pulled a boner. I really blew it last week. But I exchanged another email with him because he sent us the moon reference from Star Wars, and I cited it where it's not a moon, and I cited it as Empire Strikes Back. And go ahead, read the email.
Oh, I was supposed to have the email ready?
Yeah.
Well, hang on. Okay, you can vamp for time while I try to find the email because I didn't know I was supposed to do that.
I thought you were going to read it. So Eric was like, "What are you kidding? It's Star Wars, not Empire Strikes Back." He was so disappointed in us. And I emailed him back, and I said, "You know what? I totally bonked on that."
Wait, I have it.
There you go. Read it.
Which one am I reading? Hey, guys, I'm going to put my geek hat on for a second day and say I'm a little disappointed. The intro you guys used last week, That's No Moon, was a Star Wars A New Hope reference, not The Empire Strikes Back.
I know.
There was no Death Star in the Empire. And then you emailed back, huge apologies, and then he emailed back, the cave is collapsing. There is no cave.
Which is what I was confusing it with.
There is no cave.
In my mind, which is basically almost the exact same scene. That's no moon. This is no cave. I mean, it's the same kind of a joke. The writing, the device is the same.
Don't try.
For whatever reason, I was stuck on that one and not the moon reference.
Well, because you're old.
So, look, I have not watched Star Wars front to end in so many years I can't even count. It's every time a new DVD or Blu-ray comes out, I'll look at the key spots, see if I can see any outline on the effects, on the composites. Just watch a few key scenes, but I haven't watched that thing cover to cover in front to end, top to bottom, back to front. I haven't seen that in like 15, 20 years.
You know what they have on AMC? Here's the thing. My hours changed to The Office, so I have to be at the office at 7 a.m. Right. And I think I might have said this last week that when you have to get to the office at 7 a.m. and you have to wake up at 6 to do it, every day is like waking up early to go to the airport, right? Yeah. Because it ruins your whole day because you had to wake up early to go to the airport, and you're in a fog all day, and you can barely function. You're having problems because you had to wake up early to go to the airport, and it's always really annoying. That's my every day. So during the weekends, last couple of weeks, I really don't want to do anything. I just want to rest and just not have to wait. So I flipped on the MLB network, which is all I watch when I'm not watching movies. And they had The Godfather on AMC.
Oh.
The Godfather, it's the perfect movie. I don't get it. You can watch that movie from any point and you're immediately absorbed, and that movie is it's just the greatest.
I prefer Godfather 2, but
that's great too.
It's the same deal. I mean, Godfather 2, the whole flashback thing, all the stuff with De Niro, and here's what I love the most in that entire series: the shot of little Don Corleone as he's at Ellis Island, looking in the window with the Statue of Liberty. Oh my gosh.
That's the dream. The dream is right in front of him.
That shot is just one of the most iconic, memorable, representative, brilliant shots in the history of the movies. It's amazing. You just sit there and you look at that, and he's like, the little voice of his? You go, oh my gosh, it's amazing.
That movie's great. Oh. Same thing with Shawshank Redemption. When you see Shawshank on cable, you can pick that movie up anywhere, and it's still freaking Shawshank.
Why hasn't he made any more good movies?
Well, now he does Walking Dead. Now wait, that comment was so brilliant. You deserve a cookie.
Thank you.
Now the last I don't know why I'm saying this, but because I think people are annoyed with my cookie discussions. But the last crappy cookie I made, I got off a Martha Stewart website, and the cookie blew. All my subsequent cookies, Wade has to admit, are very good. Very professional.
Yes, very good. Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm sold.
Thank you.
I can't make fun of you anymore.
So what did I do? I went to the store yesterday, literally 2 days ago, and I bought a Martha Stewart cookie cookbook. And I knew that the only decent cookie the only cookie that sucked that I've ever made was a Martha Stewart website recipe. So why did I buy than an entire Martha Stewart cookie cookbook.
I don't know.
Because I like the pictures. Because
Okay.
they had good pictures. Now, so I made this cookie, Wade, and may I say that this cookie also sucks. So I think there is something about Martha Stewart that her cookie recipes blow. So I bought a whole cookbook of Martha Stewart cookie recipes for no reason. So,
Okay.
Wade, I'm going to present to you, which you haven't even seen yet. You
I
don't
know.
even know what this cookie looks like.
I don't even know what it looks like.
There's the cookie.
It looks like poo. It looks like a turd. Looks like
it kind of does.
Looks like a dog just.
That is a chocolate surprise cookie, Wade, and when you take a bite of it, you'll realize what the surprise is.
Should I be scared?
No.
Okay.
It's not that kind of a surprise. Although the surprise will be how Martha Stewart, for some reason, the domestic goddess of all time, makes the crappiest cookie recipes in the world. Although Wade might like it. I have no idea. He's trying this for the first time. I pulled it out of the freezer. Now, the reason why I pulled it out of the freezer as opposed to pulling it out of the cookie jar was because the coldness of the cookie masks the horrible taste.
Is that a marshmallow?
Yeah, that's the surprise. There's a marshmallow in the middle.
I hate marshmallows.
I didn't know that.
Yuck.
Really? So you hate marshmallow? Okay. Now be honest. Okay, take the marshmallow out of it. Right? It's a chocolate cookie with a half a melted marshmallow in the middle, and then covered with frosting.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Scale
Whatever.
of 1 to 10, 5.
Yeah.
You know what it's good for? If you go to like a kid's birthday party. If you took 30 of those to a kid's birthday party where all the kids just sugar out, they would love it.
They would be like high as a kite, and then they would all crash and sleep for 25 hours.
Yeah, like what always happens at a kid's birthday party.
Yeah.
But for adults to eat that cookie, not happening.
No, it's an invitation to diabetes.
So, Wade, I have about another 25 of those in my freezer. Would you like any more?
Not right now.
Not right ever.
Read a few more listener mail right now. We've also got a Vox Box later in the show. Not yet.
Time yet.
And remember, if you want to hit us with emails or Vox Box, just send to gods@digigods.com. We're always here. You know what? I want to do a shout-out to Kyle Stevens. Kyle Stevens, who sent what I think is probably the funniest email we've ever received. He said, based recently on our comments about the Teletubbies, he said, do you have any water?
I gave you water. It's over there.
Where is it? Gosh, that... Oh.
Wait. So what? So tell me.
That marshmallow was like glue going down my throat.
Wait. So is it the marshmallow that's freaking you out, or is it the? Now, be honest. I don't care the answer because I hate Martha Stewart now, and I wasted my money on that book. Is it the marshmallow you don't like, or is the cookie too sugary, or is it something else?
It's the marshmallow. I feel like I'm suckling a bottle of Elmer's glue.
Do me a favor.
Yeah.
Did you finish the cookie?
No, it's over here. I'll finish it later in the show.
No. Here's what I want you to do.
What do you want me to
I
do?
want you to, and I've done this, by the way, to see if it's...
Yes.
I want you to, and I'll give you a napkin if you don't have one. No, stop. Don't. I want you to take the marshmallow. You already ate half the damn thing.
Yeah.
Take the marshmallow off the cookie. Take your fingers...
But then I'm taking the chocolate off the cookie, too.
You're taking the frosting off the top.
No, I want to eat No, I'll deal with it. Don't worry about
I
it.
wanted to see if the cookie tasted better without the marshmallow.
It won't. I guarantee you it won't. So, back to Kyle Stevens, who wrote,
What kind of podcast are we doing anyway?
I don't know. I'm going to preface this email by saying I do not condone, and in fact, I had a drug issue myself in the early to mid-20s. Don't do drugs. That being said, in college, during my experimental phase, I had the pleasure of partaking in a marijuana cigarette laced with DMT. If you're not familiar with that drug, look it up. While on this unique blend, at 10 a.m. on a Friday morning, we settled into an episode of Teletubbies. For about a week after that experience, I was convinced Teletubbies held the secrets to the universe and were divinely inspired.
You don't need drugs to realize that, actually, as it turns out.
Too funny. I enjoyed that. And I also want to read an email here from Phil Lemasters, who lives in West Virginia in the town of Kaiser.
Really? How does he
Yes.
spell it? Hang on, let me see. Oh, he spells it differently. Now, in Oregon, there's a town that spells Kaiser the way I spell my name. Mm-hmm. And actually, I drove through that town. Maybe 7 to 10 years ago, I was on a location scout. So I flew into Portland. And I had to drive through Kaiser, Oregon. And I took a picture of pretty much every freeway and municipal street sign that said Kaiser on it. By the way, you just ate that whole cookie. You just shoved that thing in your mouth. You know why? Because you liked it.
I like the frosting.
Really? You like the frosting?
Yeah, the frosting's good.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to get you another one. And I want you to pull the marshmallow off it.
Whatever.
Can I do that?
Sure, why not?
Okay, hang on. Go talk about this thing.
Okay. Philip Masters writes and says, Gods, wanted to pound out this email to let you know how much I love the show and to let Mark know how amazing the saltine ranch red pepper canola oil crackers were. Big a hit. Keep the layman's recipes coming. So that goes along with the cookie thing right now. Did you hear that, Mark?
I heard that.
Good, okay. I do have a couple of quick questions as well. Have either of you guys happened to have seen the Ant-Man test footage that was shown at Comic-Con? I have scoured the interwebs for it, but it is as hard to find as anyone I know it as I know anyone trying to capture it at Comic-Con has not been heard from since. Also, what do you think of Marvel trying to further bring their cosmic stuff into the mainstream as it pertains to the ending of the Avengers and moving forward with a Guardians of the Galaxy movie in 2014? Tough sell, or can Marvel do no wrong? Rocket Raccoon coming to a Cineplex near you. Marvel can get a raccoon in their movies, and DC can't get a Wonder Woman movie made. Crazy times. I have not seen the Ant-Man footage. I don't know anyone who has, but I wouldn't even know how to get it. But it'll show up eventually when they want it to. And as far as the Marvel stuff doing the cosmic stuff, I don't know how well that's going to necessarily play because there's a certain layer of familiarity with both Marvel and DC that I think is exploitable. And if you're doing Batman and Superman and Spider-Man and the Avengers and even the X-Men, you're fine. But once you really, really dig deep and you start getting into a lot of the much more inside baseball stuff, I think the returns are going to be much smaller, and the investment cannot be any less. So when you start spending $250 million for heroes that nobody's heard of, I mean, I love Doctor Strange, but a $250 million Doctor Strange movie, not happening.
You know what? Once you start getting down to Ant-Man, well, here's the thing. The one thing I do give Marvel credit for doing, and they are doing this with Ant-Man, is that they are hiring interesting directors. Like, they realize that Ant-Man, as a film, they realize that Ant-Man should be directed by Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
They're not hiring Zack Snyder to make Ant-Man the machoest action hero ever.
But, I mean, look, DC's... Shazam, Captain Marvel, I think that's a great thing that should eventually happen. I think that's a very cool, there's cool lore to that, and it worked well on Saturday morning. However, there's also a Captain Marvel in Marvel Comics. There's Marvel. They're never going to do that. If you've ever read any of those comics, they're friggin' weird. They take place in a whole cosmic dimension where all kinds of bizarre crap goes on. It's even more weird than Green Lantern on the DC side. Never going to happen. So at a certain point, they really have to, they're going to kind of hit the wall a little bit, I think. But anyway.
Well, the thing is that it's Green Lantern, who I would consider like a high B player. If his movie sucks, then they can't just rely on the top-tier guys. They've got to take each of these seriously. And they almost have more of a responsibility for the B or C level characters because people who don't know who they are, they've got to really find a writer, find a director who's going to make that interesting.
And last email here. This is from Eric. No last name. Any insight as to why we have yet to see the Tom Cavanaugh, Julie Bowen show Ed appear on DVD or any streaming devices for that matter? Thanks for the hours of entertainment. I think the reason is the same for most of those shows, music rights. I think there are probably music rights issues that have completely held everything up. David Letterman's company produced that show, and I cannot imagine that David Letterman, of all people, would withhold something that could be generating gigantic DVD and Blu-ray profits and even streaming profits. So there has to be a reason, and that reason is almost consistently music rights.
And what's funny is, Julie Bowen, of course, is now on Modern Family, which has become amazingly popular. Exactly. So you would think that there'd be some. Now, Ed Kavanaugh or Tom Cavanaugh, he's disappeared, and everyone else disappeared. Okay, wait. I took the marshmallow. Now, this one is not frozen. This one came from my cookie jar. Yeah. So I can take a spoon.
Am I going to goop on my fingers? We're going to talk about DVDs. We're 14 minutes into this show.
Who cares?
Okay.
It's all about cookies.
Okay.
Plus, I want to give these cookies away because I don't like them. I don't want people to eat them. Now, you try the cookie. No, just eat the thing.
Oh.
I took a spoon and I put the... Jesus H. Christ. So I took a spoon and I removed the marshmallow. Okay, now try that one. Now wait. What do you think of that cookie, the marshmallow-less cookie?
Better.
Really?
Better.
So you don't mind that cookie?
Not so much.
Really? Interesting. You want another 20 of them? Because I don't like them.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so... You know what? I'm going to hit some foreign films here, Mark.
Yes.
I'm going to let you deal with the music stuff because that's your expertise. And I'm going to first recommend. Jeez, I got to get some more water. These things are it's like glue. It really is like.
But it's not the sugar that's making you thirsty. It's the marshmallow.
The thickness. I'm suckling a bottle of Elmer's glue. Okay. Footnote is Joseph Sidar's Oscar-nominated Israeli film from just this last year. And, Joseph Sidar is a really, really fascinating director. He is a very, very Orthodox Jew. And
just like me.
And, you're real Orthodox. And that really informs his work in a very fascinating way. Footnote is the story of two rabbinic scholars, father and son, and this fascinating rivalry and competition between them over who is ultimately more respected, and how the son finally attains the respect that the father never received. Really, really fascinating movie, unbelievably entertaining. You would think, I'm going to pass on that, but you shouldn't. You really should watch this. It is just so fascinating because everything about it that's cool transcends religion, and it's a little bit informed by Sidar's own life, as his father was something of a significant figure, not so much in a religious sense, but kind of a more a military political sense. And this movie is just so wonderful, so well made, so well written, so beautifully acted. I loved every single second of it. It is out on Blu-ray from Sony. And, not one of those movies that's just going to, light up your television on Blu-ray, but really very nicely done. Much better job of photography that comes through on the Blu-ray once you watch it on Blu-ray. Really, really cool. Also worth watching is a Korean film called My Way. Not to be confused with the French film, also called My Way, which is totally different and bound to be coming out in the next year or so. This is a war film, like tons and tons and tons of Korean films. They are still obsessed with the Korean War for obvious reasons. It's why we make Civil War movies and World War II movies. For Korea, it's all about the Korean War, and it still is just a really sore spot. And this is one of the better ones that I've seen. Taegukgi is a better film in most regards. If you haven't seen Taegukgi from, about 7 or 8 years ago, that is an unbelievable epic. This is comparable, and certainly kind of makes a nice twofer with that film. Director Kang Ji-kyu, if I'm hopefully not destroying his name. There's an interview on here with him and a little behind-the-scenes featurette thing, but the Blu-ray is a dazzler. This is from Welgo, who's been releasing a lot of Asian-themed stuff, a lot of martial arts stuff, and they've been going a little bit out of that lately. And this is obviously not martial arts, but very much in their vein of period Asian films. And it just is a gorgeous, gorgeous Blu-ray. Welgo does superb work on their Blu-rays, and this is just one of the best that I've seen. So a fantastically big, epic, powerful war film. Not the best that I've seen, but really, really good if you love the genre. And then I'll let Mark do a few music things in a second. We got a great Eclipse collection here. This is Eclipse Series 34. I can't believe we've gotten to 34 so fast. This is Jean...
They grow up so fast, Will.
I know they do, don't they? Jean Grémillon, During the Occupation. This is 3 films, Remorque, Lumière d'été, and Le ciel est à vous.
Remorque and Mindy?
Oh, gosh. Jean Grémillon is a French filmmaker who came from the same era in the 40s. He's kind of a contemporary of Renoir and overlaps maybe a little bit with Melville. But he's not, sort of one of those world-class filmmakers that everybody knows about, everybody studies. But really interesting movies and really interesting background on this guy. I was relatively unfamiliar with him. I kind of knew the name a little bit. These 3 films are all made before, during, and around the occupation of France, which makes them very, very interesting. The first one, Remorque, Remorques, stars Jean Gabin, the same brilliant Jean Gabin as in Renoir's Grand Illusion, as a tugboat captain, and it's kind of an adventure, but it's sort of an existential adventure. Very interesting stuff. And Le ciel est à vous, the third one, I also think is really interesting. Stars an actress named Madeleine Renaud, who becomes a very successful aviator. And then the middle film is a slightly, a little less interesting, but all in all, it's a great box set, really interesting films, and especially for people who are fans of French films from that occupation period, which, the most famous one of those films is obviously Children of Paradise, but, this sort of gives you a richer context to the period.
That is so true.
Yep.
Yes, Wade?
No, go ahead.
Oh, is it my turn now?
Yeah, it's your turn now.
Great. Okay.
We're hopscotching here. We're,
Hopscotch with Walter Matthau.
Some foreign, some music.
Let's do some music.
Why not?
Blu-ray, Slipknot, Sicknesses. This is Slipknot live at Download. The Download Festival was in 2009. Slipknot, not my favorite band. They do have an interesting history. They're from Des Moines, Iowa, and I don't like their music because I think they're crazy. But the Blu-ray includes a 45-minute film that documents the tour that they were on during the Download show. And, a year after this concert, the band's bassist died, and he died of an overdose of morphine. And so it was kind of a controversy as to whether the band would continue, which, of course, they basically have. They were touring in 2011. But it's pretty good looking. Again, it's very loud, and they're not my favorite band. But if you like Slipknot, check out Slipknot live at Download. Also, we have a very, very good documentary by Kevin McDonald called Marley. Now, you know what?
This is a really good film.
Not a lot is known about Bob Marley. There has not been really a biopic on him of any note. But this 2.5-hour documentary by Kevin McDonald is just terrific. The movie is kind of a bit warts and all. I mean, Marley was definitely a disciplinarian, and Ziggy Marley and Ziggy's sister both talk about that. There's also information here about how Marley, who died of cancer, basically didn't have to. He pretty much ignored the advice of his doctors, who said he should check out this cancer in his foot. And, of course, Marley didn't want to have the cancer in his foot treated by surgery because then he couldn't dance on stage.
I know.
And then he winds up dying of late-stage inoperable cancer. Awesome. So Marley, by Kevin McDonald, a terrific documentary. It is very highly recommended. Really liked it a lot. Good special features on it, including a commentary by Kevin McDonald and Ziggy Marley. So for those who love reggae, Bob Marley is a must-watch. For those who don't like reggae, I would probably recommend this too, only because Marley's story is very interesting. So definitely well recommended is that. Also kind of recommended is Peter Gabriel on Blu-ray, Secret World Live. Now, Peter Gabriel, of course, it was started out in Genesis, and then he went on his own, and he's great. He has continued to be great. This thing was filmed last year, where he's kind of past his prime a little bit, but still. There's a lot of good songs here. The thing is that a lot of the songs he sings on this one, Secret World Live, is newer stuff, and I think people really care about the older stuff. In fact, Red Rain from his album So is only included here as a bonus track on the Blu-ray. So otherwise you get Sledgehammer, and you do have Salisbury Hill. But a lot of this stuff, again, is kind of newer stuff. Peter Gabriel's Secret World Live. Fela Kuti. Now, Fela Kuti is a pretty hardcore and very popular and respected world musician. He's Nigerian. He plays a whole lot of instruments. And here we have a documentary and concert called Fela Kuti, Teacher Don't Teach Me Nonsense. This is the concert here is from 1978. He plays a mean tenor sax and as a permanent intermediate on the tenor sax. The guy's amazing.
You know what would really suck? If with a name like Fella, you always think people are calling you. If somebody says, "Hey, Fella," you're always turning around and saying, "What? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking to me."
Wait,
that would be a real bummer.
Is this on?
Hello.
Is this
Hello.
On? Okay.
Hello.
Anyway, Fela Kuti. If you're into world music, got to check this out. Jay-Z. He's inspiration to Jay-Z. Which, of course, no one loves Jay-Z more than I do. Anyway, although you know what, I do like.
Yeah, you and Jay-Z.
We're like
you
this.
go thugging together.
You know what?
Oh, yeah.
I do like that New York song. The one that New York song with
with
the girl. I forgot her name. Whoever he sings it with.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Yeah,
I dig it. Actually, you know what? I take that back. The choruses where they go New York, New York, that's awesomely cool. A huge bass line, really super cool.
Yeah.
The rest of it is like rapping. I don't care about that. Okay. But I do love the chorus. Totally cool. All right, Ozzy Osbourne, Speak of the Devil. This is Ozzy Osbourne, of course. This was done in 1982, long before Ozzy became a freak. And it's a great concert. You know, all of his hits are here. Crazy Train is here. Suicide Solution is here. Paranoid is here. Iron Man. So this is a great concert. He was totally in peak form in 1982. Great stuff from, there's solo stuff here. There's Black Sabbath stuff here. It's a DVD. It's not a Blu-ray, so it looks basically fine. Again, it's not a Blu-ray, and it's from 1982. So don't watch this for the visual. Watch it because you want to see Ozzy in his prime.
Yep.
My number one music pick of the week is a little thing called Muddy Waters, The Rolling Stones Checkerboard Lounge, live Chicago 1981. I don't know what order I should read that in. Anyway, in 1981...
It's never clear exactly what the title...
It's a very long title.
Well, a lot of these music releases have like 4 layers to their titles, and they lay them out graphically so that you never really actually know what the title is. And then when they send us the press release is even more confusing because the press release will list them in a different order at different places in the release. And so you're like, I'm sorry, I have no idea what the actual title of this DVD is.
Well, here's the thing. If you love blues or you love the Rolling Stones, this is a must rent, if not buy. The Rolling Stones were on a huge tour in 1981, and they came to Chicago. They were going to play 3 nights at the Rosemont Horizon. And they decided to visit Muddy Waters' club at the Checkerboard Lounge, and they wound up sitting in on a concert. And there's almost 30 songs on this thing, everything from blues classics like Manish Boy and Hoochie Coochie Man. There's some Rolling Stone stuff in here too. Mm-hmm. This is great stuff. Again, this is a DVD, so don't worry about it not looking great. And of course, it's a DVD of a concert that's 30 years old. But I'm telling you, this stuff is fantastic. I love this thing. Muddy Waters, The Rolling Stones, Checkerboard Lounge, live Chicago 1981. I love this DVD. This is great stuff. Check it out.
All right. Here we go. We're going to finish off foreign in a whirlwind, Mark. A whirlwind. Are you ready for this?
No.
Okay. Takashi Miike's 13 Assassins was, if you didn't know it, based on an older Japanese film from 1963, also called 13 Assassins by the director Aichi Kudo. And that is now out in a fantastic, beautiful black and white anamorphic widescreen DVD from Animego. Should be Blu-ray. Really should be. So get hold of the people at Animego and tell them Blu-ray that sucker because we want to see that in high def. Anyway, it's not in high def, but it is an absolutely sensational film. Exactly the same story. And I always love the warnings on the Animego discs. This one contains a warning. It says, "Warning, contains violence and strategy." It's great.
In other words, if you're stupid, this thing might offend you just as much as if you don't like violence.
It's great. Anyway, fantastic cast, fantastic photography, beautiful, beautiful black and white stuff, really well staged, just an enormous amount of fun. Some of the best 2 hours you will ever spend watching a movie. Really just great samurai stuff. Also a great French film called Making Plans for Lena from Christophe Honoré. This is a terrific, classically French family drama starring the gorgeous Chiara Mastroianni, who I think has just gotten so much better as she's gotten older. Of course, she is the daughter of Catherine Deneuve and Marcello Mastroianni, so no problem.
Good genes.
No problem with the genes there. By the way, she's got a new movie coming out with her mom called Beloved, which is coming out in about a week and a half.
What?
I have not seen it yet, but I hear it's superb.
Oh, I've seen it.
Have you seen it?
No.
Okay. Tim saw it on Friday.
Oh, did you like it?
Yeah, he liked it a lot. Yeah, it's good. So anyway, she here plays Lena, and Lena is a little bit screwed up. She is the weak link in the family stability, and it's a really great performance. It's a difficult performance, but definitely worth checking out if you like those French family dramas about dysfunctional people and people who can't get jobs and struggle to keep their families together and all that jazz. Another French film, The Hedgehog, from a film
Sonic the Hedgehog?
No, this would be a French film.
Yes, Sonic the Hedgehog.
I have never read the book, The Elegance of the Hedgehog, that this apparently is based on, but it stars Josiane Belasco, not in the lead necessarily, but she's good in it. And the director, Mona Ashash, I guess is how you would pronounce her name. Not bad. The movie didn't blow me away. It's basically all from the point of view of a little girl played by Garance Le Gueramic. Good grief, I can't even pronounce that one.
Don't you speak French?
But she's a little girl. She's kind of suicidal, and she uses her video camera to show how all of the adults in her world are all just majorly screwed up. Anyway, and then it gets into kind of a quaint little children's twist later on that lightens the proceedings a bit. But overall, I still found it kind of cloying in a way. I mean, I didn't dislike it. I like chunks of it, but it's not my ideal movie. And then we also have Aki Kaurismäki's Le Havre, or Le Havre, which is a director-sanctioned Blu-ray release from Criterion. Now, Kaurismäki, normally we would just go, oh, it's Criterion, got to get it, just any of them. But Kaurismäki is odd. And even his even his most accessible movies tend to be inaccessible to a lot of people. So take this with a grain of salt. If you love Kaurismäki, you'll really love this. This is his whole weird, deadpan, dry humor. Those Finns, I guess it's too cold there because they're kind of consistently weird people, aren't they?
Well, because it's almost like being inbred. Finnish people tend to only hang out with like other Finnish people.
You know what? There are all kinds of genetic illnesses that are unique to the Finns because of the small gene pool. Did you know that? Well,
it's the same thing with Iceland. When you go to because I've been to Iceland, all those guys are very isolated.
Yeah,
because the country is isolated. They don't get a lot of visitors.
Yeah.
Although I went and I got drunk.
Well, anyway, this basically it doesn't take place in Finland. It takes place in France, as you might assume from the title, in the harbor city of the title, Le Havre. And it's about a French guy and an African immigrant, and this weird little shaggy dog adventure that they kind of both get drawn into. It's a peculiar film, and it's nicely done, but I wouldn't recommend it for all tastes. What I would recommend for all tastes is Visconti's absolutely brilliant film Conversation Piece, otherwise known as Gruppo di Famiglia on Interno.
Wait, what, groping your family?
Exactly.
Oh, Gruppo di Famiglia.
I speak French. I don't speak Italian. I got to learn Italian someday. Anyway, this is a terrific film, really great, from Raro Video, which you can find out more about at rarovideousa.com. It's on Blu-ray and on DVD. This is a great film starring Burt Lancaster as an American professor who's kind of living a very solitary life in this this palazzo in Rome, and enter this peculiar marquise lady and her daughter's boyfriend, who kind of then they take a room in the palazzo and everything goes haywire. And I compare this in some respects to The Servant, the Joseph Losey film, The Servant.
Sure.
In the sense of, here's a guy in a house, which is everything's all fine and lonely until you add, this combustible collection of characters and everything gets weird and freaky. Really, really cool. Very similar in theme, but this one is just gorgeously photographed in color, and the Blu-ray is stunning. This is from 1974. It's over 2 hours long, feels like it's about 85 minutes. It just moves so beautifully. And if you don't know Visconti, this is a great way to discover him. There's not enough Visconti out on Blu-ray and DVD. Still, a real emptiness in terms of a lot of those great Italian movies, and this fills the void very nicely. And then we've got The Turin Horse, which may be the very last film by Bellatar, the famous Hungarian filmmaker who makes films that are extremely artful, very long, not really about much, incredibly boring. Some of them are obviously less boring than others. We've praised a lot of them on this show, including the Werkmeister Harmonies, which is a really fine film. The Turin Horse is... this is an almost impossible film to describe. Well, here's what Bellatar did. There's a very famous story about Friedrich Nietzsche coming out of his Italian villa in Turin and seeing a guy punch a horse, and Nietzsche was so horrified that he proceeded to go back inside and lost his mind. And this speculates as to what happened. How did the horse get there? So basically, you have this very weird movie that involves everything that happened to the horse before that, which is that there's this guy and his daughter, and they bring the horse back and they feed the horse, and it's in the stables and they eat, and effectively nothing happens in this movie. There are like some gypsies that show up at a certain point, but otherwise it's like this interminable, beautiful photography for 2 hours.
Was that horse Mr. Ed?
It was, in fact. It's just gorgeously photographed, but nothing happens. You just sit there and you go, that is so artful looking.
No.
I really don't care.
A lot happens if you're one of those like head up your butt art lovers.
Yeah.
And by the way, I can be one of those head up your butt art lovers, but I think this goes beyond the pale for me.
It sure does. And then from Olive Films, we have a couple of Godard films here. Well, I don't want to call them films. A couple of Godard releases. One is Numéro 2, which means number 2. Not in the sense that you might think if you have a dirty mind. This is from 1975, and the other one is from 1976. Ici et ailleurs, here and there, or here and elsewhere. Either way. And this is, if you know Godard, you know that by the 70s, he lost it. He was just doing abstract, weird, off-the-wall stuff, and this is The latter one especially, he made when he'd created this thing called the Dziga Vertov group. Now Dziga Vertov literally means in Russian spinning top. Dziga Vertov is a Russian director from the silent period who changed his name to Spinning Top and made things like Man with a Movie Camera, which are just these weird abstract experimental.
Man with a Movie Camera was that not just named one of the Sight and Sound's top 10?
Big deal.
Some reason.
I hate that list. It's got Vertigo on the top now. Come on, stop.
I love Vertigo. That was weird.
But number one, forget it.
That was weird. Although, you know what's interesting? Can I say what's interesting about that poll? Is that you're getting some of these older critics who are aging out.
I know.
And so you would think that the top 10 would start to reflect the ages of the younger critics. And, of course, when it comes to the Sight and Sound poll, when we say younger, we mean 50.
Yeah.
But really, it's, if nothing else, the Sight and Sound poll is not becoming more poppy. It's actually becoming more obscure.
It is. Well, anyway, here we have, this was originally commissioned as something, it was sort of going to be something of a propaganda film for the Palestinian cause in 1976. It doesn't really wind up that way. As a look at the Palestinian people, or Palestine itself at the time, it's just kind of abstract and very much what Dziga Vertov would have approved of. So that's not necessarily complimenting it, but if you like this phase in Godar's career, you'll probably love it. And Numero 2 is, it's sort of a remake of Breathless, allegedly. Jay Hoberman at the time in the Village Voice was quoted as calling it something like a masterpiece, which is, it's kind of...
My cookie was something like pretty good.
Yeah, I don't consider that a really huge compliment. It's basically putting two TV monitors next to each other, and I just, you watch it and you kind of go, I don't get it. What are you trying to do? Maybe some people do, but look, this is a phase in Godar's career when he was just going totally off the wall. A lot of people love it. I'm not into it, but, take that as you may.
Take that resume?
Take it as you may.
Understood.
Take it as you may.
Maybe I will.
And then Tomboy, real quickly, is a terrific movie about a young girl who has gender issues and disguises after they've moved. She disguises herself as a boy and proceeds to live as a boy. And she essentially falls in love with another girl, but doesn't want to tell the girl that she's not a boy. And this is not Tootsie. This is a really, really interesting film about gender identity. One of the most well-thought and emotionally detailed films on the subject I have ever seen. This is from the director Celine Sciamma, who previously did Water Lilies, another great movie about kind of sexual identity and youth. And a very, very well-made film, beautifully acted, unbelievably well acted by the young actress who stars in it, Zoe Aron. Really just a first-rate French drama, incredibly well done, very sensitive. That's from Wolf Video. Definitely check that one out. And Mark, one more?
Oh, yes, Johnny To. I like him. Done a lot of great films.
You like Johnny To. He's so prolific. That's what I love about him.
Well, you know what? Well, so is Miike, but I think both wind up being pretty, when you're that, it's like Miike. When you're that prolific, you strike out a lot of times, but you also hit out of the park a lot of times. And for To, who doesn't like Election? That's awesome. Who doesn't like Breaking News? Love that one, too. This one, Life Without Principle, is it's a bit of a departure for him, only because it has a lot of the thriller elements that we have come to expect from him, but it takes place in the milieu. Wait,
It's a French word.
Oh yeah, of the economic, the world economic disaster. Basically, he's taking a very contemporary, headline, ripped from the headlines story, and using that to mount this tale. And I don't know.
Did you say mount?
Yes, I
okay.
did. Not sermon. Now, you didn't mean Sermon on the Mount. You meant the mounting in a sexual sense. I just want to put that out there.
I'm going to leave you to define however you wanted to use that word.
Exactly. So I don't know that because the one thing when To does this, I don't know that I always buy it because with Breaking News, he had a great opportunity to comment on the state of media at the time. And he sort of, although he occasionally did, he sort of really didn't go to the finish line on that, take that idea to the finish line. Here in Life Without Principle, there's definitely some information about the housing market and the economic crunch and these city dwellers who are trying to kind of, live amongst this market uncertainty. But again, I don't know that he really necessarily cares that much about it as much as he's looking for like a headline-grabbing little hook for his new movie. And plus, also, I have to say that a lot of the financial dialogue here doesn't really translate well. So I'm kind of reading it going, what? What is that? Huh? What's happening in Hong Kong? I'm confused. Anyway, so this is not one of his best films, but I do like Johnny To a lot. So if you're a To fan also, I would definitely give this a rental, not a buy.
All right. We don't have many new films this week. New films have been slow in coming out in DVD and Blu-ray lately because in the home video arena, the home entertainment arena, just like in the theatrical arena, everybody has been scared to death of The Dark Knight. They've just been running away. Nobody actually wants to be an alternative to going to see The Dark Knight.
Which is bizarre because we all know what's happening.
I think also because of the Olympics. Seriously.
Then they've been doing very well.
Yeah, the ratings on the Olympics have just been through the roof. And
by the way, that Ryan Lochte, he's dreamy. Girls love Ryan Lochte. Although, you know what? Here's the thing. Take off the grills. I mean, you just stop it with the grills. He wanted to go up on the podium wearing those phony teeth, like the grills.
What?
You don't know about this?
No.
So, you know what grills are, right? Grills are these. They're these phony teeth, and they're rappers wear them. They're diamond studded or they're colored, and they wear them on their upper teeth.
Yeah. Okay.
And it looks like just like one big tooth, but it's usually bedazzled, or again, if you're a rapper, it's diamond studded.
Okay.
Well, Lochte wanted to wear one of those on the podium as he received his first medal.
Why?
And the Olympic because he loves rap music. I have to say, here's the thing with Ryan Lochte. Although I totally get how girls love him, and he's a pretty freaking handsome guy.
Yeah.
I have to admit, he's coming across as kind of a jerk.
Yeah, he is kind of. Huh?
He is coming across as a jerk,
yeah.
And not just because what his mother said about the one night stand. Because I do believe that the mother was a little bit clueless.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure
Sure.
I'm sure that Ryan probably dates a lot. But you can tell he loves douchebag music. He wears those stupid grills. He dates all. I mean, that guy is just not likable. I'm telling you. And the thing is that's going to hurt him, because even though he's won a decent amount of medals at the Olympics, and he's done good for himself. All things being equal, better than you or I. I think when it comes to endorsements and it comes to widespread mainstream love, I don't think he's going to get it, because I think there's an unlikable sheen about him. It was almost like when Michael Phelps got busted for pot. That when he got busted for pot, that really it
put a damper.
It put a damper on him.
Well, we're talking now about...
You don't care about the Olympics. You hate America.
Yeah.
Why do you hate America, Wade?
The bottom line is new movies are having a tough time right now because of all the other stuff going on. But we have a few of them. Here's a few things came out this week. And boy, is this a weird one. This is just from left field. The Whisperer in Darkness. If any of you are H.P. Lovecraft fans out there, you undoubtedly know about this. I'm not huge on Lovecraft. I know a little bit, But this apparently was written in 1931. And the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society is behind this adaptation of that classic film. They've done it in a very old-school way, using a process that they call mythoscope. Don't know what that is. Apparently, it's just something that makes it look old. And that's fine. It's cool. It has a certain creepy, David Lynchian kind of... what's his name?
No, it's like Guy Madden.
Very Guy Madden, exactly. It's a very Guy Madden kind of a look, Lynchian look, a little bit like the Elephant Man crossed with any Guy Madden film, except for that last one, which just didn't look like a Guy Madden film as much as I wanted. But anyway, it's interesting. It's ambitious. I don't know that it's really scary and creepy in that sense. This is very much about this is very much a whole kind of. Anything Lovecraft is inexplicable. It's meant to be kind of science fiction and horror and deeply psychologically disturbing on all kinds of levels. A little bit also like what's his name? The
Star Wars.
No, there's a kind of Cronenbergian quality to this as well. But Naked Lunch.
Naked Lunch.
There's a little Naked Lunch, a little bit of Naked Lunch in this too. So anyway, I don't know. This is on Blu-ray. It's a beautiful Blu-ray, but really an acquired taste. If you're not a Lovecraft fan, you're not going to get it. But it's out there. The Whisperer in Darkness, and that comes to us courtesy of the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society. Go to CthulhuLives.org if you want more information. That's Cthulhu with a C. Mark.
Clendathu from Starship Troopers.
Cthulhu with a C. And then the only really major release of the week, as far as recent films, Mark, why don't you tell us about this thing called The Lorax from somebody named Dr. Seuss?
Yes, we have Dr. Seuss. By the way, Dr. Seuss is The Lorax, which is available in a Blu-ray case of a color I've never seen. This is some sort of an orange. This is an orange color, so it will stick out. And The Lorax is not my favorite. Actually, I have to say, not a lot of these Dr. Seuss film adaptations, at least recently, have done very well. This one it looks bright. It's very colorful. The kids will probably like that. I considered it pretty charmless. Not my favorite. Danny DeVito plays the Lorax. It's kind of like a bizarro version of Hugo. Where children have to kind of remember and preserve the treasures of the world. But I just think that a lot of these Dr. Seuss films are trading too much on the Dr. Seuss name and the ability of CGI to make things bright and pretty. So I find that kind of disappointing, I have to say. But again, it looks great, even though it's just just has all sorts of crazy. It's just puffed up with a lot of crap that I don't really care about. I'd rather read the book. Anyway, this is a 2-disc combo pack. There's a couple of mini movies in here. There's a making of the mini movies. There's a deleted scene. There's a useless Seuss to screen featurette. And I just feel like I don't know that Dr. Seuss would necessarily even be on board with these. I just feel like they would feel they don't have that childlike whimsy. The charm is just basically just movies to get kids to shut up in the theater for 90 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a child. I never really read Dr. Seuss as a child. I was, other kids were reading Dr. Seuss, and I kind of felt like Seuss didn't give me what I needed from literature. So I was reading, Chekhov and Dostoevsky, and
you were not.
Yeah, well, I'd like to believe I was.
Okay, anyway, so
I was actually watching Babar.
Anyway, so the Lorax is it's noisy and it's long and it looks nice and it's got a very nice environmental message for the kids, but otherwise I think it's pretty bad.
Good for the kids.
Freaking kids.
We're going to talk about our catalog releases now. A lot of catalog releases this week, most of them from Olive, but this one is from Paramount. And a lot of the Olive stuff comes from Paramount's library, but this is one that Paramount apparently felt, no, we want to put this one out ourselves, which is curious because all of the really good stuff winds up being licensed by Olive. And Clue, the movie, boy, decades before everybody started turning Hasbro's idiotic games into movies. We got Monopoly, the motion picture, that's still, I think, on somebody's list, has been for years. We've had Battleship, friggin' Transformers. All, toys and games shouldn't be movies.
You know why I like this movie?
But Clue was the first.
Because Colleen Camp was beautiful in that. She played the French maid.
Well, here's the thing. Jonathan Lynn, who directed this, very talented director, really a funny guy. Jonathan Lynn has done some amazingly funny stuff, including My Cousin Vinny, and, really, really good stuff. But Clue, the movie, didn't really work for me, and I've tried to figure out why for so many years, because it is one of those sort of ensemble conceits from the 1980s that I would have liked. Martin Mull, for crying out loud. How do you not like... Tim Curry, come on. Christopher Lloyd, before he became an overacting freak. There's a lot of stuff in it. Leslie Ann Warren. A lot of great people in here that I should have really loved. And yet, for some reason, I don't like it. Michael McKean, you could go on and on and on. Madeline Kahn. It's like a who's who. Eileen Brennan. It's a who's who of just great actors from the period. It's a cast that should have just screamed, we are a hit movie. And for whatever reason, it didn't. Now, the conceit here was there were 3 different endings to the movie. And you can watch 4 different endings on the Blu-ray, the trilogy ending or endings A, B, and C.
Well, here's the thing. They
different people did it in each one.
They expected you to literally see this movie 3 times so that you can see all 3 endings.
Yeah, which didn't really happen.
Because people barely wanted to see it once.
Yeah. Well, they're like, am I really going to sit through all 85 minutes of this movie just to see how the last minute differs? That's sort of the thing. Am I really going to do that just to see if they did a little thing and they tweaked it and it's different this time? Not interesting. It doesn't really work. But it's on Blu-ray. It's a very good Blu-ray transfer, I have to say. I didn't think this film was all that well shot at the time. My recollection of it was kind of overlit. and oversaturated and a little bit grainy, but they did a nice job on Blu-ray. It's not the noise reduction isn't excessive, and it's sort of has a nice film look to it. So good job there, I'll say.
Will you now, Wade? Will you say that?
Yes, I will say that.
Federal Men is a show that has been unearthed from the vaults from the good people at Film Chest. This is a show that was on in the 50s, from 1950 to 1955, and this is all about. It's actually based on a show called Treasury Men in Action, and this is it's kind of like Dragnet or the Untouchables or the FBI, whatever. And it's all about it's all real life U.S. Treasury crime cases. Bootleggers and smugglers and whatnot. And every week there was another exciting adventure. And here we have 16 episodes of Federal Men. I think I obviously I was not alive when the show came out, so I had to check this out on DVD. I think the show is pretty terrible. The scripts are really melodramatic, and they just don't hold up. And it's very cheesy. So I really, in fact, some of the stuff is kind of unintentionally funny. But Federal Men, 3-disc collector set, is available on DVD for those who happen to know what it is.
Okay.
But otherwise, I'd pass.
This is on Blu-ray. A movie called Blue Like Jazz. Shouldn't be on Blu-ray. Shouldn't be on DVD. Shouldn't have been made. This is a big deal book for some people. This was on, I guess, a New York Times bestseller movie that just blew a lot of people away. Basically about, Christian hippies. I mean, the whole idea here is that and it's funny because we've had a number of films in the last few years about sort of religious identity and rediscovering religion and so forth.
Higher Ground?
Higher Ground being
Love that movie.
Oh, it's a great movie. I mean, that's the one that sort of defines this. And this one is like a really bad version of that. The book was autobiographical. And sort of all about the author's spiritual journey when, at 19 years old, he decides to just kind of bail on his hyper-religious upbringing in Texas and goes to this place called Reed College, which is in the Pacific Northwest, and it's very, it's like very left-wing and hippie, and it's like a totally new experience, man, and it's like discovering your faith through a new lens of progressivism. And you know what? It might be interesting if this movie were even remotely well made. It's terribly made. It is like badly acted, horribly photographed. Everything about it is just dismal and dingy and awful. And I feel bad because it's on Blu-ray, and they put a lot of work into the Blu-ray, and they pack this thing up with extras, and there's featurettes galore, and people just talking about the movie and the book and what it was like making the movie and directing the actors, and there's a commentary with everybody packed in, including the cinematographer, whose work is horrible. And I feel bad ridiculing this because it's just, the movie sucks. It's unwatchable. It's just unwatchable. It's like they went through all this work for nothing. It's just horrible.
Did you like it?
It's terrible.
Wade, you got two Blu-rays from Derek Jarman. Derek Jarman, of course, is was one of the great, almost one of the first kind of queer filmmakers of the 70s.
We talked about him, a week or two ago. So
yes, he made a lot of really interesting films. I don't know that I liked all of his films, but I respected them enormously, and I think that he really blazed a trail for gay filmmakers and gay filmmaking. We have The Tempest, which is Jarman's adaptation of the Shakespeare play. Now, of course, if Derek Jarman's adapting Shakespeare, he's going to take the original text, he's going to do whatever he wants with it. Mm-hmm. And here he has. He took a lot of liberties with it. Generally it's a story of Prospero, taking revenge on Ariel. It's the same kind of story, but it's done in a way that I think that people will probably be either love or be very, very turned off by.
Absolutely.
So it was shot. It looks nice on the Blu-ray. I mean, it's an old film. It's from 1979. It was shot in this big, huge abbey. So it looks it's a great location. But if you get the Blu-ray, what you do get are 3 short films by Derek Jarman from the early 70s, which is great. But the film itself, again, is only really worth it if you know who Derek Jarman is and you like what he was all about. There's another Derek Jarman Blu-ray called Sebastian. Now, this film is brought to you by Kino. This is actually Jarman's first film. It was actually co-directed with Paul Humphries. And this is an interesting film because this one has obviously it's a religious film. It is profoundly religious. It is a very interesting film. It was rated X when it first came out. because it just is completely unapologetic about the gay experience, especially and thing is that you're mixing the gay experience with a religious story, which of course is not going to make a lot of people very happy. So it's a very controversial film, but it's a very good film. I would definitely pick up Sebastian before I picked up the other one. So again, this looks good on Blu-ray, but again, 1976, so you're not quite talking about pristine stuff here. Brian Eno does the music, which is just great. So there you go. That's two by Derek Jarman, Wade.
We got, and now for some stuff from Olive. Olive just keeps pulling really great and interesting titles out of the Paramount library. A bunch of really cool classics in a second here. But first, one from the 80s that everybody seems to have forgotten about. And I loved this film at the time. It doesn't quite hold up like I thought it did, but it's still, it's a cool film. Firstborn was directed by Michael Apted. At a really interesting point in his career when he was kind of more known for documentaries than for features. Hadn't really sort of made a lot of great features, but it's an interesting film starring Terry Garr, Peter Weller, and Christopher Collett. And Christopher Collett just plays this teenager whose mom, Terry Garr, has a new boyfriend played by Peter Weller. He's a psycho. And, it's just a kid who's going to save his mom from the crazed lunatic that his mom has invited into their lives. This is Peter Weller pre-RoboCop. And the cast has some really interesting supporting people in it, including a young Robert Downey Jr. and Sarah Jessica Parker. So, a totally minor film from the 80s, but it's a nice crowd pleaser. It sort of has it's got an underdog vibe to it that I think works really nicely. And, it's rated PG-13 now. PG-13 didn't exist at the time. This was a PG film at the time. So I think it's interesting they got it re-rated to PG-13.
Usually, when movies get re-rated, they get re-rated down.
Yep.
Because now we become much more permissive on violence and sex.
Indeed.
This one gets re-rated upwards.
That's true.
Also from Olive, we have a Blu-ray of Bound. Now, Bound was was kind of the calling card film, first film by the Wachowski brothers, who, of course, are now the Wachowski brother and sister.
I'm still creeped out, man. I know that's politically incorrect.
You saw that video, right?
Dude, seriously, what?
Look, God love her, but I'm just saying it's weird.
It's weird.
God love her. She's happy. It's all that matters. It's none of my business. But just saying it's weird.
It's weird.
Bound is a terrific film. This is it's a film about two lesbian lovers, Gina Gershon and Jennifer Tilly, and they're going to steal $2 million of mob money from Joe Pantoliano. And this thing is neo-noir. It's suspenseful. It's tongue-in-cheek.
I still think it's the best film they've made. It's the best film they've made.
Really? More than The Matrix?
Absolutely.
I love The Matrix.
This film, everything about it works. The script, everything. It's just this is one of the best modern neo-noirs I've ever seen. I think it's better than Blood Simple.
It's funny, because obviously the Wachowskis started with Bound, and they've gone, all the way into super sci-fi.
Oh, yeah.
Now the Coen brothers started with Blood Simple, but they still stayed there.
Yeah.
I mean, the Coen brothers never sold out and did a $150 million Superman movie.
No.
Whereas Wachowski brothers, you would never look at Bound and think that someday they're going to do. The only guy who's maybe like that is Chris Nolan. Nolan starts with Memento, and then 10 years later he's doing Batman. Wachowskis are the same. They're doing Bound, and then 10 years later they're doing The Matrix.
Very true.
So Bound is a terrific film. Very highly recommended. Love it, love it. Also from the good folks at Olive, I don't know why Paramount doesn't care about Rio Grande.
Because they care about Clue, the movie.
Is that just bizarre?
It's just weird.
Why would they not? Do they really think that Clue has more of a more sales potential?
They must.
Than Rio Grande. I don't understand. Anyway, this is a great film. This is from 1950. This is John Wayne, and he's so devoted to his job as as a colonel in the army or I think he's like a lieutenant colonel or something. That it's broken up his marriage. He hadn't seen his wife, played by Marina Harrow, in 15 years, and he finally gets dropped as a cadet from West Point, and he's got to go on this adventure to kind of redeem himself. And this is John Ford at his most John Fordian. Actually, maybe not as his most John Fordian.
Well, he's pretty intensely John Fordian.
He really is.
Yeah.
So there's just obviously, like all John Ford films, it's just great. It's beautifully shot, great vistas. And if you look at the special, the making of, hosted by our friend Leonard Maltin, you'll really see how John Ford is starting to develop his John Fordiness.
Totally.
And so it's a gorgeous Western. John Wayne is at his peak. It's a great story. It's one of the great Westerns ever made. Rio Grande. Love it.
All right, Mark, it's time for the Vox Box before we tune out.
Can I sing the song?
Go ahead, do it.
It's Vox Box.
Hi, Mark and Wade. It's Shaw Dixon. I have one question. What are your guys' top picks for documentaries? Because I recently saw The War Room on Criterion Collection and really liked it. And I'm wondering, what are your guys' favorite documentaries? Thank you.
Leave to Chevelle to ask us a question that almost kind of stumps us, because I thought, oh crap!
I mean, there's so many.
And I don't, I don't typically like go nuts for documentaries the way that I do for narrative films. I'll see them and I'll love them and in the moment, but I don't really. I'm trying to think, how many documentaries would I want to see again?
Well, when I'm asked that question, I do have a ready-made answer, which is probably my favorite doc of all time, although it's not something I want to revisit very often.
Yeah.
And there's a great Criterion DVD of it. It's Hearts and Minds from 1974, the documentary on Vietnam.
Yeah, which is a great film. That's a really awesome film.
I mean, I love that documentary. I mean, as much as you can love a documentary about the horrors of Vietnam, it's a great film.
For my money, I would say I love things like Tokyo Olympiad, which I think is just a beautifully made film, also on Criterion. But mostly, my favorite documentaries tend to be documentaries about the making of movies, to be honest.
Well, Hearts of Darkness?
Hearts of Darkness is one of my favorites. Les Blank's film on the making of Fitzcarraldo.
Yes.
Is
it's Burden of Dreams.
Burden of Dreams is unbelievable.
Hoop Dreams, speaking of dreams, is a great one.
Hoop Dreams is terrific.
And you know what? If you like rock and roll, Last Waltz is a great one.
And I think, for just pure documentaries, I really like a lot of the Maisley stuff, like Salesman. I think Salesman...
Now, Salesman, is that on DVD?
Yeah.
Oh, it is on DVD.
Oh, yeah, that's a Criterion as well. I mean, Salesman is a wonderful, wonderful movie, and it's, as is Grey Gardens, great film, too, from the Maisleys. So... I think that I gave it a lot of thought, and I think those are probably the ones that I'm most excited about. But
although I'll tell you what, since he's asking, I'm going to give him 2 out of left field picks. They're great docs, but maybe they're not ones that you would normally. Koyani Scotzi.
Oh, not
is
really.
That a doc? Is that not a documentary?
It's a doc. I guess it counts as a doc. It's non-narrative, but not one of my favorites.
Okay, how about this? You don't like Koyani Scotzi because you hate America.
It's true.
But how about the Up series?
Brilliant. Michael Apted again.
Yes.
And that's still not finished. I mean, we're still.
There's a new one coming out this year.
I know. I'm dying to see where it goes, because now we're getting interesting, right? Now we're really getting interesting with that series. All right, with that, we are done. We'll see you guys next week with a lot of television and hopefully more new movies for a change. We've gotten a few in, Mark, so I'm hoping that by next week we'll have a better roster than we've had in the last few weeks. Email us, gods@digigods.com. Send us your Vox Box. Send us your emails. See you next week.